Thank you, Alan. My name is Saul, and I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Saul.
And it's a great opportunity to be here. And I'm really happy to be here with Alan and with new people. Every time I go to a meeting, someone told me a long time ago, meetings are just full of friends you haven't met yet, and so I take that by heart. And I would just like to start by reading a page. I usually like starting by topic, but yesterday this one hit me hard. Um, so on page 62 of the big book, in the middle, so our troubles, we think, are basically of our own making. They arise out of ourselves, and the alcoholic is an extreme example of self will run riot, though he usually doesn't think so. Above everything, we alcoholics must be rid of this selfishness. We must, or it kills us. God makes that possible. So, as Alan said, I had a history of relapses. Probably I could count more relapses like that completed a whole month or more. Um, and it wasn't a simple task or something to grab on easily in the beginning because I couldn't see it. Um, I started drinking since I was five because it was just part of family tradition, um, to let anyone drink. I was born in Los Angeles, and being in a Mexican family, we celebrate a lot, and that was my family. We celebrated, got together, nothing was wrong, even when aunts and uncles and parents were drunk, it was just a way of just relief. And little did I know that starting at an early age, I didn't see the patterns of me wanting to escape. I didn't know much um, at at a young age. I did everything on my own because I had to be like the star child, the poster child to go to college, even though I didn't know how or what I'm going for. Get the full time job, even though like I didn't really understand it at all. And there was always this pressure and like no help. And so I struggled to see that I needed to depend on other people. Um, it was getting worse when I got laid off in COVID and my drinking got more serious. And I'm sure it's was pretty much getting more drastic for others because it was a time of uncertainty, and having a job was kind of like my identity, and um, being with my family as well. I needed to I needed to strive. I needed to work hard because I needed to help them as much as they cared about me. And so I had an opportunity come up for a job relocation to Seattle. They created a job because I asked for my job back because the vaccines were being rolled out. And I didn't know I was escaping from everything, from like all my past habits, my past routines in Los Angeles, drinking, going to the bars, telling my family I'll be back tomorrow morning, and then it's like Sunday night and coming back and all haggard and just tired and going to work like buzzed out. Before then, during COVID, it was just gone all weekend. Um, so I went to see moved to Seattle, and I did a lot of adulting coming here because I was first like living without them, without my parents, and I had to learn how to, I don't know, like pay for rent, pay for auto insurance, all these things like that I didn't had to think about while living with my family. And so, but I never asked for help. I just kept going, and by and then I realized that my drinking was still coming back after an attempt to just stop. I was living with housemates that were awesome friends, but they were the main party house of the friend group. Hosting dinners, it was 30% dinner and like 70% drinking and using all other kind of mood altering substances. and all weekend, and then back to work on Monday. Um, and then the routine came back again. Hangovers uh, kept creeping up. I kept like asking for time off, and it felt like I didn't have a purpose. Like, when does this routine stop? And so I moved a couple times, and I was living in Burien. Then I lived with a good friend of mine in Beacon Hill, and that was in 2022. And he was a very positive influence. He didn't, he had, he sort of had like a kind of like he drank for like just socializing, and I was drinking along with him. Like, hey, he's having fun, I'm having fun, it's all right. And I there were some moments I just couldn't bear it. So I he had a friend that I had friends in the program, and that friend asked like, "You look like you need help. Do you want help?" And I almost teared up, and I just said yes. Like, I don't know where that came from. Um, So I got introduced to AA in November 2022. I went to a basement in the Good Shepherd Lutheran Church in Saturday morning at 7, and it was practice these principles. And that room was filled with joy, yet they were talking about tragic things. And I'm like, I don't know if this makes sense. Is everyone under the influence still in these meetings? Is there a do we have to breathalyze before we come here? So from then on, that was the only meeting I knew, and I kept joining these new friends to the meeting. Yet I still have my usual drinking friends group. I didn't have no AA friends, and I got a sponsor. We were working the steps, also inventory, and I just fell off because it was too much for me. And I was already getting comfortable having a new job and focusing on the job. Everything, life is good. Like, see, I didn't die. I didn't fall like other people. And so, but I ended up again like costing much of my job, my health, after a series of sprees, and I ended up in treatment for the first time. And that's when I realized like that whole AA. Hey, my first intro to AA brought me to realize that the higher power concept. Like, oh, I finally see that I was skipping reading steps, and then I was not really paying attention to the old timey wimey language in the big book. I had to read it and make note of it now. So in treatment, first time, it brought me to realize I had to depend on others. But yeah, I still have reservations afterwards. I was doing outpatient, and I relapsed 3 times until they let me go. Then I just started doing things more slim. I was going to more meetings around Seattle, but I couldn't still see like what was the issue. Um, but it was those reservations, and those reservations kept me away for a long time from um, before I had to go again um, to treatment last year. Um, so that was in August, September, and that was after like building my life up again. I got another good job. I got to see my family. But earlier last year, in Memorial Day, I relapsed in secret. They were calling. There were Everyone was calling, all family members. And I remember coming back haggard. Um, my sisters were all like, "Where were you?" And then I was quickly packing my stuff because I gotta get a flight to Seattle from LA. And I just hugged them and be like, "I'll talk to you guys later." Um, and that was the last time I saw my family in person. And then, after after the second time in treatment, I thought I got it. I was like, I was a rehab nerd too. And I thought I got it, and I realized I still have reservations. I even went into an Oxford, and then the fourth day I relapsed. And that's really hit me. And that was tough to come back and see the same patient friends as, with like destroyed hope, but they welcomed me back. And then I got out. It was only a 14-day stay. I got out and I was doing well for 55 days. And I was doing behaviors that led me to my last relapse. And I told my outpatient counselor, hey, I relapsed. I don't want to go into outpatient because this happened. Like, can we talk about other options? That I kept on using and drinking, and then counselor sent a good friend of mine to pick me up because I couldn't do this on my own. I was in too deep. So I went to treatment for the third time in 2024. Never thought that would happen, but it happened. And I had a sense now that, like, when I was there, I dedicated my time to really connect with my higher power, really be honest with everything, and really just depend on the help from others, because I couldn't do this on my own. When I got into treatment, um, I I had a different sponsor. I had Alan in during some time, and then I was kind of forced to look for another sponsor, um, because it wasn't working. Because you got to do different things to get different results. That's what they told me. And that sponsor, they let me go because I was not on the same path as him. At first, I was resentful, but I realized that was the best thing he could have done for me, to let me go and let me learn. And so, I always didn't want to give up. And the way I remembered not to give up is because I had a sponsor like Alan who did not give up on me. He always preached that he's always there for me, and I'm very thankful for that. And so, you know what's how it's like working with Alan is that, like, he didn't say like we could like talk every day, like talk when we can, but we have been in constant communication ever since I was in my last treatment. And I've been telling him everything that's going on in my mind, everything that's affecting me, even the most unwanted parts that are happening right now. And he's just always there for me, and that's what I need, because every time I get in the self will run riot, my ideas are constantly not good for me. I'm always trying to find ways that seem like okay, that I could do this. Life is good again. I got a good job now. It's pretty crazy what the job I do makes me do these days, because I work very closely with safety and health, and you know being faced with like trying to protect others, like I gotta remind myself I gotta protect myself too. And so that's been my journey so far. It's Right now I'm on step 4.2, as they call it in outpatient. 4.2, 4.3. I bought this 200-page notebook. I Before I would buy the 70-pager, and now I bought 200 because this is ongoing. Every day, for the rest of my life, yeah, I'm gonna be working on this, and that's what I gotta remember. Um, it's a daily reprieve. I pray to my higher power every day. I pray when I am agitated or feeling with doubt. And I try to practice the 86, 88 every day because it has helped me to not think, but to do, to rely on others, to know that this is life, and my higher power presented me even even the worst moments of my life. I'm thankful for that, because I wouldn't be here without those consequences and those lessons. And I'm thankful for being here today, and you know, thank you for giving me this opportunity. And I can't wait to meet all of you in other meetings because I'm around even in Kirkland. But thank you guys for having me.
Thank you.